Hi, I'm Brent Johnson, and today I'm at Messiah Lutheran Church, still in Madison, Wisconsin, and with me is Dean Gardner. You are one of the organists here at Messiah, correct?
Yes, I am. I am one of three organists here. I share the bench with Marion Korth and Mark Huth, so we're very fortunate to have three organists.
Indeed, yes. And the instrument is an A. David Moore. That's not a name I'm familiar with. Tell me about this builder.
So David Moore is out of Vermont, and there are three of his instruments that I know of here in Madison. He specializes in tracker instruments.
Okay.
This particular instrument was built in 1979 for a church in New York State. In 1994, that congregation ceased to exist, and we were lucky enough to purchase the instrument and have it moved here to Madison. There was additional work and an expansion done at that time.
And that was for this building?
This building for a smaller sanctuary.
Oh, okay.
This particular space was dedicated in 2010. David and his assistant came back from Vermont, and we, with the help of many hands, moved the instrument from the old sanctuary into this
within the
space.
same building. Just
Within the same building.
Well, this is a fabulous space in here. There's the cushions on the chairs are the only soft surfaces I see. Everything looks very reverberant.
We are
solid, so.
very fortunate to have this live
So
space.
the organ must sound fantastic in here, and I can't wait to hear it.
You're in for a treat.
Chappell Stowe, thank you again. We
Certainly.
saw you not too long ago at the Catholic Center, and now you consulted on this instrument in bringing it to this church, correct?
Yes.
Tell me about the organ and what we have here.
Okay. Well, it turns out I knew the organ in Rochester, New York, where it originally lived. And in fact, I think my wife played the first recital on it.
Oh, wow.
And it happened that when the church was going through the process of looking into a new organ, they had several proposals on the table, and then I found out that this church was putting the organ up for sale, basically for the same amount of money they had bought it in 20 years before, or 15 years before. So it was a great buy, if
Definitely,
you will, for the church, because they got a lot for their money. And so this two-manual organ, 19 stops, 23 and a half ranks, I believe it is. And David Moore is a lifelong resident of Vermont. He sort of has had, from the very beginning of his time as an organ builder, a love affair with New England, old New England organs. Yeah. So his work, even with this instrument, which is his Opus 6, has largely followed the ideas of 19th century American organ building. You can translate that New England organ building, and you can translate that into imported English style organ building. Okay. Pretty much prior to 1850 or so, when zinc became to be a commonly used. He doesn't use any zinc. So
I was going to say, these all appear to be hammered lead pipes in the facade.
The front pipes are hammered lead, yes. On at the time, a relatively new hammering machine that he built following Dombeto's outlines. It's a very noisy affair, but it's an interesting machine.
It lends a very distinctive look to the facade.
That's right.
Too. Yes.
And of course, there are two embossed pipes on the side flats.
Which is a special skill in itself to make that happen.
Right. The case is made of butternut, and some of the internal pipes are made of also made of wood that comes from his own forest.
Oh, wow.
That he mills, and so he does everything except make the screws.
Truly a handmade organ here.
Right. Even the cowbone comes from his own animals. So,
well, let's talk about the stops we've got.
Okay.
We have two divisions here, so we have a great and a swell.
Right.
Well, what do we have in the great?
So the great, there's a Preston 8-foot. I'll play a little ditty for you or something.
full sound.
Yeah, you can hear the lead gives it a sort of a punky quality, but a very round.
It's very round and warm, even though it's right here in front.
And following the English style, in New England style of organ building from that early 19th century, the cut-ups are not terribly high, and it's a rather gentle voicing, even though it's a full sound. It's not a aggressive.
It's good for a room that's not huge. It fills
Right.
the room well, even though it doesn't have to work very hard. So, you tell. All right, let's go from there.
So get the octave, or the principal, excuse me. Then there's a mixture which on the stop list says 1 and 4. That's because it's a double draw.
Okay.
You pull out to its first stopping place, and it's a 2-foot principal. The rest of the way, it's a 4-rank mixture.
It's a nice full chorus there. Not super overwhelming or bright, but it definitely fills the room and is clear. So I like that. Very
and
nice.
it's fairly typical again of New England instruments. They're not strong in the mixtures, but they're full.
Yeah. Okay. What else do we have in the grate?
In the grate, we've got a stop diapason 8-foot, which is a very English stop diapason.
Very gentle.
And there's a 2-foot flute. There's no 4-foot flute. So it's a lovely, lovely sound. So you do have an alternative to the 2-foot principal if you wanted to use the 8-foot flute and the 4-foot principal and the flute 2-foot.
You could certainly accompany a small congregation on just those.
Sure, you could.
Singing
You could.
clearly,
Right.
easily, yeah.
I forgot when I was going through the principal chorus, there's a 16-foot borden by itself. It's very gentle. Under the chorus, with the mixture, it has quite an effect. It's possible to actually accompany hymns on the principal chorus without using the pedal.
Indeed,
because
that's an impressive sound. Okay, and
Then there's there are two curious stops on here. There's a double tierce treble, which is a 3 1/5 foot stop, so it's twice the length
lower
of
than a normal tierce, yeah.
1 3/5. By itself, starts at soprano C. And is intended to give essentially a tierce sound in the mixture, I believe, is his real intent. Yeah. These old English organs have a major third in the mixture, and
Sure.
I think this is his
that's
effort to create that effect.
but it's
only
just in the top
That's
portion
right.
of the
That's
manual.
right.
Okay,
That's right.
All right.
And there's also a 5 1/3 quint treble. Can add even more, especially when you've got the 16-foot on.
Okay.
It can add even more power to the treble without adding the reed.
And what's the compass of the 5 1/3? Is it the full
That's,
manual or just partial?
That is also starts at
Just that
C,
top.
soprano C.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And then from there we have our reed.
And then the trumpet. The English style of reed making, well, there were a couple of different styles, one leaning more in the French direction and the other leaning in an old-fashioned English direction. The French direction was much more common and much more popular in the later 18th century, and that's pretty much what this is, but it's not very aggressive. It's not aggressive like a French trumpet. You do hear that bark.
It's got
in the bass.
some edge to it, but it's
Right.
still a pretty dark reed overall.
Right.
And so that's meant to be used then with the principal chorus as the
You can use it by itself. And you can spice it up with principals or even with the other things other members of the principal chorus that we talked about.
All right.
And there's a tremulant, tremulant 4, which is basically a Schnitger beater tremulant, which is these things have a very narrow range in which they work happily.
There's the trick. All right. Well, very good. Well, let's go over to the swell now. And you'll have to tell me what we've got over there.
Right. So it's important to remember that the swell is not a swell in the sense what we're thinking of as a cavalier swell. It's not something that really closes up that tightly.
Okay.
It's more like, again, the 19th century American / English swell that's really just got shutters on the front and the top. And but the box isn't really very tight. So the swell is built to create echo effects. A little bit of decrescendo, but it's a very gentle.
Okay. And that was a stop flute.
Stop diapason.
Diapason. Okay.
And a recorder, 4 foot. Together with the 8 foot. And 2 foot 15th. And a quint 1 1/3 to make a little chorus. There's also a sesquialtera, and the stop jam says 1 and 2. So again, it's a 2 2/3 on the first draw, and then a 2 2/3 and 1 3/5 on the second draw. So the first draw with the 2 2/3 makes a nice solo. And the sesquialtera.
It's handy to be able to pick and choose, but still have only one knob there that you would deal with.
Right. And the oboe in the swell, which is an old stop. I don't precisely remember, but it comes out of a 19th century organ. I want to say it's a Hutchings, but I'm not sure. I'll have to ask David for confirmation on that. But
Somebody in the comments will let us know.
yeah.
If it, very distinctive sound. Nice thin oboe, but it's very clear and
Yeah.
piercing. I like it.
Yeah. So the pedal.
Okay. How many stops do we have in the pedal?
Subas 16, which is from, I think, the 1860s or so. That
Okay.
came out of a
Really?
George Stevens organ, I believe.
Oh.
And then the octave bass, which is really made in a French tradition. It's an open wood stop, which is a remarkable sound. It's clear,
Yeah, I was gonna
but
say.
still very rich and fundamental, and so it can behave like a principal or a flute, depending on the.
I'm sure it lends a lot to the 16 when you have them both together.
That's right. And then a tenor 4-foot, often called a tenor on English organs.
Just a nice clear solo principal sound in the pedal. Oh, very nice.
And then there's a Posauna 16. And of course, reeds aren't made to be used by themselves, right, like in the pedal. So I'll use it as it seems to want to be used as a base to the principal chorus.
It's a big full sound, but still it's not overwhelming. It's very gentle, but full, bright sound for this to fill the room. So this is a wonderful little instrument, and not only built in an early American style, but actually contains some early American pipes in there, and has brought those sounds to us. So that's fantastic. Next to the organ is a closet. If we open that door, there is another door in that closet that takes us behind the organ. Here we see the pedal pipes at the rear of the organ. This is the 16-foot reed. It has wood resonators at the bottom, and then the upper pipes are metal. In front of that is the 16-foot stopped bass, and then the 8 and 4-foot open pipes are in front of those. And then we're here at the great organ, right behind the console. You can see the reed is here closest to us with tubed off facade pipes. A little closer look at the great pipe work. And the stop action that goes up to the swell. The swell is directly above the grate. And to get up to the swell, we have to go to the other side. So we're going to go back out. And on the side of the organ is this panel that swings open. Chappie pulls a pipe out for us, and that allows us to get in and up to the swell organ. So now we've gone up the ladder, it's looking down, and here's our swell box. It's very small and compact, with shades on top of the treble end. Opening up the middle, you can see that 19th century oboe there. As Chappie says, this is very similar to an old English organ that would have had a 2-octave swell box on top as an echo. You can see the shades in the front of the swell there. That would have been chromatic with all of the pipes in chromatic order. This one, of course, is full compass, looking here from the bass end. And then here's a little peek in at the treble. You can see the shades are only in front of the middle and lower sections. Another look down at the Great Division from the upper walkboard. And then all of our pedal pipes behind, including that full-length 16-foot reed. So Dean and Chappie, thank you so much for introducing me to this A. David Moore and showing it to all of our viewers. I was sitting out there and I noticed the carvings. There seem to be fish and dolphins and whales. Can you explain the significance of those to this organ?
So absolutely, those carvings were done by the late Anne Fisk, the wife of the late Charles Fisk, a well-known organ builder. The themes from the carvings were taken from Benedicite Omnia Opera Domini. My Latin isn't very good. The first line begins, "All you works of the Lord, bless the Lord, praise him and magnify him forever." And the following verses are the basis for the design. "You rivers and seas, bless the Lord, praise and magnify him forever. You whales and all who move in the waters, bless the Lord, praise him and magnify him forever. All you birds of the air, bless the Lord, praise him and magnify him forever." So the major elements of the design are a whale, dolphins, gulls, a chambered nautilus shell, and stylized waves, and a starfish.
See, okay, we'll have to find all of those in there. I did see, now there's side panels that close the gap there. Those have birds on them.
Right.
And that, you said that was modified a
In
bit.
the original installation, it was in the side, side of the chancel.
Oh, okay.
So there was a gap between the wall and the organ, and so the panel, there was originally one panel that filled in that gap and swung away.
And now it's been split into two.
And now it's been split in two because there wasn't as much space
So
to fill.
it carries the design on even into just the gap filler pieces.
That's right.
So wonderful. But this is a beautiful little organ, and I'm glad it's successful here, as I'm sure it was in its original location. And I'm glad you were able to demonstrate
It works even better here.
You think so?
In the original location. So.
Wonderful. Well, again, thank you both so much for letting us come in today. We still have one more organ here from Madison, Wisconsin, so make sure you're subscribed to our channel and you click the bell to get notifications when new videos are uploaded. If you'd like to help sponsor videos and become a sponsor of the Organ Media Foundation, you can do that by going to organ.media and clicking on support. You can become a sponsor for as little as just $1. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, so all contributions are tax deductible. And remember, for streaming classical organ music 24 hours a day, visit our 3 streaming stations, organlive.com, Positively Baroque, and The Organ Experience. Thank you both for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.